Welcome everyone to Good Evening Eorzea, your fortnightly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Welcome to those people who may end up watching us on Twitch for the first time ever. We are trying to do this live. We are running into some technical difficulties, so please bear with us. This is the first time we've done it live, but with any luck, we should hopefully have everything working. Mr. Marfy is joining us. Mr. Marfy, just as a point, what can you see on your screen at the moment?
um, the the opening video playing through.
Right, is it?
Now it's switched to us.
Yay, that's exactly what we were hoping for. So, welcome everyone to Good Evening Eorzea, the first time we are actually doing this live on Twitch. I am just going to quickly throw something into our FC Discord.
Yeah, just so they can start coming in, doing their job. We're your bosses. They're going to hate me for saying that.
Doing a live episode of Good Evening Eorzea. Yeah, so we're doing a live episode for the first time ever. Hopefully this all works. Hopefully it also means that I don't have to spend as much time doing the editing at the beginning. So fingers crossed, that's always a good thing. So we are live here to talk about Shadowbringers because early access has came and gone. We are now into full release, and it is an expansion that we've been building up and we've been looking forward to, and it's finally here.
Yes, and it couldn't come soon enough, really. Very anticipated. I love it. I love it.
It was really anticipated. We are glad that it has came, and it has gone as well. Well, not gone, but it's came and gone. We've tried to get through as much of it as possible. So we're just going to spend a little bit of time. We'll probably be able to talk more about our thoughts and feelings towards everything in the next show, which is probably going to be the Tuesday or Wednesday after the raids as well. Just the raids are due to launch on the 16th. I just need to clean my glasses as well. So, Mr. Marfy, overall, first impressions, as a whole, how are you feeling about Shadowbringers so far?
Okay, in terms, I'll start with like server worries and stuff like that. I really did think it was going to be quite terrible. Actually, I thought it was going to take too long to log in, but that went really smoothly. They've done a stunning job there.
Yeah, I've had no issues logging in. I think my biggest queue has been about 20 people, and that was on the Saturday afternoon. Actually, Saturday morning, which is when most people found queue issues. So there were some queuing issues towards the middle of the Saturday, which was roughly when people started to get to like the level 72 solo instance. We're not going to go into any spoilers this show or next show. The spoiler episode will be kind of like the first episode in August. Just we want to give people as much time to go through the actual actual story itself.
Well, I don't want to give anything away to anyone because I've purposely not been watching like videos on YouTube, not watching streamers or anything, because I just wanted to get like a complete, I don't know, blind run through of the whole thing. And you've got to do it because it's just good.
Yeah, and we've been streaming as well. Well, we've been streaming a little bit here and there, and we have said spoilers beware because we want to enjoy the story. So we're not skipping cutscenes, we're not missing bits out. Just we want to see the story as well. And it's something that is definitely a slow burn to begin with. We were talking earlier, and the story hasn't quite gripped me the same way that Stormblood and Heavensward gripped me to begin with, because it felt like there was something immediate in terms of Stormblood, in terms of Heavensward. This, while yes, there's this immediate threat looming, it doesn't quite feel there yet.
I think it's because they've had to introduce this whole new world. In terms of, we already know most of Eorzea and Doma now. But before but this time it's like a whole new thing. There's so much. It's like starting a brand new game. if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it did have that world building to begin with. So the first few missions, really the first half a dozen, was introducing yourself around this environment and learning things about the environment, which they did do a great job of doing. I feel one of the things Square Enix have done really, really well so far in this expansion is having minimal amount of time to do it, but using it to its maximum potential. So you find out a lot of information in a short space of time, but that is relevant to the actual story.
Yeah, well, they've done it as well. I completely agree with you, but they've done it as well where it's not going to be for everyone, but for me specifically, it's they give you just enough information that you need, but you want to find more.
Yeah, and that's where the side quests are coming in. Just I haven't touched any of the side quests yet. The side quests for me are going to be there if I need them when it comes to leveling alts and things like that. I don't want to use them up on my main, which has changed twice this expansion already. But I have now settled on my main. In terms of the story, do you feel it's as it is? So where we're up to. So we don't need to. It's no spoiler to say about the level 63 dungeon because that's been out there for a prolonged period of time. I feel.
Yeah.
So the 63 dungeon is Don Meg. Me and Mr. Marfy have just completed that this morning, just before we came on air. That's where we're up to. So at the moment, where does the story fit compared to Stormblood and Heavensward? I think it's unfair to compare it to ARR because ARR was just so much of a completely different beast when it comes to the story. How does it compare to Heavensward and Stormblood?
It's similar to like from what I remember of it, because the trouble is, because I went back to it, I sped through it,
Yeah.
like through Heavensward and through Stormblood. But from what I remember, and bear in mind that I did actually pay more attention to the story, so I'd say the beginning bit is. I'd say it's comparable to Heavensward. Not so much Stormblood. Stormblood didn't grip me as well.
See, Stormblood gripped me immediately because you had this immediacy of needing to resolve it, and you had this issue with Alamigo and then the big attack on Valgas.
I just like dragons.
Yeah, there is that. There's the dragon. I'm sorry for people seeing me scratching my nose. Unfortunately, I've developed an itch since we came on air. So in terms of it, like I say, it hasn't grabbed me as much as Stormblood, but it's grabbed me more in Heavensward. But from the community feedback that I've avoided spoilers, I haven't looked at spoilers, but just from what people are saying in terms of how they're feeling about the expansion, lots and lots of people are saying that they favour this expansion, and this expansion story is so much better, even compared to Heavensward, which I think is insane because Heavensward's held up as kind of this gold standard in Final Fantasy in general storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling. Yeah, I'd have to agree, to be honest, because I loved Heavensward. Really, really adored Heavensward. It actually, I think, rekindled my excitement towards the game as a whole.
Right.
Actually going through it and taking my time with it. So, yeah, this has definitely piqued my interest.
No, like, is my volume mic all right? By the way, just I'm seeing lots of really orange, yellow, and red spikes on my my Discord channel here.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
All right, good. So story-wise, we don't want to go into too many spoilers. We are enjoying the story, and I'm aiming to be finished the story probably by the weekend, Saturday, Sunday time. Just I want to have a day, maybe a day and a half on Extreme Primals, doing the new dungeons, getting some gear, because we are planning on trying to do the raids as a free company when they are released a week or 2 weeks today, really.
Yeah.
So with raiding, we are gonna talk about jobs. So in terms of jobs, we've both had experience with the new jobs. So from your experience with Gunbreaker, what do you think of it?
Right. I don't want to do Gunbreaker a disservice because I haven't leveled it up much. but from the offset, from level 60, I was underwhelmed. But I've got friends that have leveled it up, and they have said once you hit 70 and up, it gets much more interesting. One thing I will say is that everybody seems really squishy as Gunbreaker. Now, that is probably people just, maybe not tanked before, but picked up Gunbreaker. It might be the gear's a bit off, or it might just be that they don't know and haven't had enough time to get to know the class or the job.
Yeah, and we talked about this earlier, so I've noticed some of the tanks being slightly squishier than normal, and they have lost like 3 cooldowns. They've lost Convalescence, Awareness, and Anticipation, so they have lost those 3. And like you say, Gunbreakers in general, they may just not have tanked that much. They may be getting used to the job. And it's one of those things that's it's an unusual situation to have where they're making major changes to the tanks, and they're also bringing the tank in.
See, I've got 2 thoughts. I mean, from a Gunbreaker standpoint, I think that people, not so much bosses, but if they're in a dungeon and they're pulling mobs and stuff, they don't seem to keep the brutal shell buff up, because they keep doing Demon Slice and Demon Slaughter and all that, the AoE combo, but forgetting to reapply brutal shell.
Yeah, and it's one of the arguments that DPS has made in the last couple of expansions, in that they've got to stop their AoE combo to apply a single target buff. So Dragoons had to stop their AoE combo to apply Heavy Thrust. Ninjas would have to stop their AoE combo to apply Hoot on again, whereas they've changed it now so that the ninjas, their buff gets extended. Dragoons don't, but I'd expect Dragoons to maybe get something adjusted to that. However, Dragoons do get plus 10 seconds on Life of the Dragon, which is a massive thing when it comes to their AoE abilities anyway.
Yeah.
So, you have changed from Gunbreaker.
Yeah, I've so in the last, what is it, about a month?
Yeah.
For the last month, I've been trying out healing, which is something I've never done, and I've kind of really enjoyed it, fallen in love with it, and am now a main white mage. And yeah, no, that's going really well. The changes to white mage are amazing, except for some DPS. Aero 3's gone, which I'm really sad about, because that'd be very handy. But we have got a Flatus Misery, which is just so fun to use.
You're loving using the Flatus Misery, aren't you?
Loving it. But the only trouble is I find myself burning through the other Afflator skills to try and get it, so I'm wasting heals. It's like, need to use Misery.
Need Misery.
Oh, well, why didn't you heal me? Nah, I needed Misery. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. If you want Misery, just go and sit in Eureka. I'm sure that's a really miserable experience right now.
That's not a fun misery like this one.
Yeah, so how you find a white mage? Just a lot of people's expectations of healers going into the expansion was lowered, losing a lot of their DPS skills, not seeming to get more healing skills in relation to that, but people were wondering, do I need to be healing more? Am I going to be sitting there not doing anything because I'm not going to be using GCDs on DPS and then things like that?
Well, the way I see it is DPS, like if you're soloing stuff, the DPS is boring as all hell, because literally from a white mage perspective anyway, because it's literally just apply Deer, spam Glare, right? Maybe if you want to, you can throw out an Aside, just or a Holy,
yeah,
or like you said, a Flatus Misery if you can need to do it. But dungeon wise, and this goes back to the tanks a little bit, like we said, I think they're all a little bit more squishy now, and I have noticed even in some of the like level 70 dungeons I've done, which were so easy to heal through before, I've needed to heal more, and it does keep you guessing, keeps you casting. So
that's good. That keeps you on your toes, because obviously the last thing that you want is a boring dungeon that's even made more boring by just sitting there and not having anything to do. I remember I've tanked Sastasha before with a Dark Knight when I was leveling a Dark Knight, and I don't level it anymore because I tanked this one with Sastasha and it bored me to death. It bored me to the point where I was that bored pressing the same two buttons, I actually nearly fell asleep.
Hey, Zeph. Zeph's in the chat.
Hi, Zeph. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming along and viewing us. So, that's White Mage. You've talked about Gunbreaker. I'm now going to talk about the two jobs that I've had experience of in this expansion. And we've talked at length about the first job I'm going to talk about, which is Dancer. So
Dancer.
I originally was going to go into the expansion as Machinist, and I'll touch on Machinist in a few minutes. But Dancer, I think Square Enix have nailed this job design. I don't think they could have done any better. I think they've took Dancer and they have absolutely nailed it. I was really apprehensive about Dancer. If you think back to when we talked at the NA FanFest, after the NA FanFest, when they announced Dancer, I was really not anti-Dancer, but I was a bit, how's this going to work? I think they've absolutely nailed it 100%.
It's overpowered.
It is overpowered. It's absolutely overpowered, especially in low-level dungeons. The first thing we did when you were doing Gunbreaker and I was doing Dancer was we grouped up, we went to Hally Tally, and we got another Dancer in there, which probably didn't help because I went to Hally Tally recently since then, and they didn't quite do the same. However, me and this other Dancer, we were melting mobs, and like not just like doing it quickly, they were dissipating.
Yeah.
And it is down to one thing and one thing only. And at those low levels, it is standard step.
Well, it's just that I remember because I was Gunbreaker at the time, and it's sort of like by the time I'd like got aggro and stuff, they were literally disappearing. It wasn't the fact like they were just noticing them dying; they just straight up disappeared because you just nuked them so quick.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, so standard step is an ability. You use it. It's got a 2.5 second GCD. Then you get the 2 steps. So you use two of the 4 steps. It tells you which ones to use. They've both got a 1 second recast, so it is quite quick to get to. And then you hit standard step. Now the closest enemy, so it's not necessarily the one you're targeting, but it is the closest enemy, takes a 1000 potency hit if you've used both steps. If you've used none, it's a 500 potency. If you've used 2, it's a 750 potency. So even if you've only gotten a step off, it's still a 750 potency attack at level 15. Now, it might not sound that much, but if you're doing 1000 potency every 30 seconds to an enemy, that's a massive amount in those low-level dungeons. You think the main other skills that people are getting that are similar potencies. You've got Madara Setsugeka, you've got Foul, you've got Afflatus Misery, you've got over 900 potency attacks, but they don't get them till much later on.
Yeah, that's it. It's like you get that so quick with Dancer.
And the other thing is, it does have a drop-off, so it does affect every enemy within 15 yards, but its drop-off is 75%, so it's still a 250 potency AoE with no further drop-off to every other enemy.
Yeah, and if like we had, when you've got 2 Dancers.
Yeah, it's just so much damage being pumped out, and then its AoE rotations are insane as well. The standard AoE rotations... the standard single targets, they've got so much damage. We were all expecting a Dancer's damage to not be great. They have had nerfs from the media build to now. They have actually had their potencies reduced, but it's still a massive amount of damage that they're causing.
Yeah. To be honest with you, the quicker we can get through the lower content stuff, the happier I am. So,
oh yeah, don't get us wrong, it's much easier getting through the low content, but I've really enjoyed playing it, and it's something that, like I said, I originally went in as Machinist because Machinist has been close to my heart since Heavensward, and I did kind of enjoy it in Stormblood. The only issues I had was the heat management, and if you had to move during your flamethrower, then you knocked your wildfire up, at which point your wildfire became more of a naff fire, and if you missed a cooldown here or there, or you died halfway through something, or you had to stop doing something, or the boss ran away, your damage was just brutally destroyed. It was just nerfed to death.
You were really, really penalised for that.
You were. Bosses moving away, you having to move while you're flamethrowing so that you don't build up enough heat, at which point you're then stuck trying to build heat manually, which knacks your wildfire because you're having to go into overheat from a normal GCD, so you don't have the time to apply extra hits. And they have changed it. They did change Machinist a lot, and I was really, really excited for the changes. However, after playing it for a couple of levels, I forget about Eorzea and Ricochet because they're on my R2 and L2 and they're hidden somewhere, and I do forget about them. Hotshot I forget about as well because it's just it's got a random GCD. It's got a 38-second cooldown. It's like, it's just, I know that's affected by skill speed, but it's just completely random.
It's weird, isn't it?
A 38, like, why not just make it why not just make it a set recast time of 40 seconds instead of it being affected by skill speed? Drill and Bioblast aren't affected by skill speed. So
I don't know. I don't know. That's one of life's mysteries.
yeah, and your combo floors normally it's 1, 2, 3. You always want to reassemble now with Drill because Drill's 700 potency. Air Anchor is 700 potency as well. Bioblaster is a look cool AoE dot. Doesn't do any damage on the initial hit, but it does do a dot. Flamethrower is much better now. Flamethrower is much better. My issues with Machinist comes from Wildfire. Wildfire is good. Wildfire is better than before because Wildfire, as long as you hypercharge and use that one extra GCD, you're getting either 900 or 1200 potency attack every 2 minutes, which is akin to the Dancer's technical step, which is 1500 potency every 2 minutes. But there's the problem. Machinist is meant to be this big samurai black mage kind of DPS of the physical range, and I just don't feel that its potencies are up there. Like Air Anchor and Drill are 700 potency. Great. Reassemble with Drill. Yeah, you guaranteed a direct hit crit at 33k at around about level 71. Brilliant. However, you want to try and use Drill while you're hypercharging because it's an extra 20 potency. Might not sound that much, but when you direct critting it, that's a massive increase. However, if you use Drill during hypercharge, it means that you're down to 4.5 seconds on your hypercharge, which means you're only using 3 heat blasts. At which point you don't want to drill during your wildfire because you want to be using 5 heat blasts plus a GCD. And it's just so clunky.
Yeah.
When you start getting into how to actually play the class, it just doesn't feel as much fun as it looks. It feels really clunky compared to it looking cool.
So do you have any like ideas how they could improve things? Just like
you could make hypercharge longer. You can make it longer by about 20 seconds. Buff potencies of the 3 main weapon skills, Drill and Air Anchor, to give those bigger numbers. Or, like, I'm just not too sure. Like, a hypercharge, maybe instead of it being an 8-second window, make it the next 6 weapon skills. Get that buff. So that then, if you did hypercharge, you've then got and heat blast is still the 1.5 second cooldown because heat blast can be that thing that you want to use during wildfire, but it's only available while you're hypercharged. So you hit hypercharged, heat blast becomes available, and the next 6 weapon skills get the extra potency. You can then wildfire. You can then reassemble and Drill, which gives you 7.5 seconds left on your wildfire, and then you've still got time if your ping's okay, which mine is. I was able to get 6 GCDs inside a wildfire. You can use your 5 heat blasts, and then that's still using hypercharge the way it should be, as well as getting your 6 weapon skills inside a wildfire to make it that 9 or 1200 potency attack.
Right.
I think making it timing based is always an issue because it penalises those people with bad ping and latency.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Ninja also have a problem with latency in the beginning?
Everyone always had a problem with latency in ARR, but Ninja still does because obviously if you've got bad ping and latency, when you're using your mudras,
Right, yeah, I see.
it's kind of the same thing that if you've got bad ping, if you use a mudra and then try and use another one too quickly, it pings you as a bunny.
Yeah, the dancing bunny on the head. Yeah, I was just laughing at Zeth's comment there.
I haven't got chat open unfortunately, so I can't actually see what's being said.
I won't repeat it.
Zeph, are you not being nice?
No. It's not that bad. It's nothing that wouldn't be in Final Fantasy. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It's just we were talking about Ninja because I was talking to Zeph about Ninja on the chat.
Right.
We were just talking about Pig, and then he's just bastard slow.
Yeah, so in a way, just speaking about ninjas as well, we talked about earlier, I'm really glad they didn't make dancers be like Ninja in terms of their mudras and their dancers.
Yeah, well, I suppose it's just the fact that it's Dance Revolution, isn't it?
Yeah. If they'd done more than two dancers, I think you could have probably put the mudra concept in that you've got your four buttons, and if you press red and green, you do this. If you press red and blue, you do this. However, I think with just the two, it does just make more sense for them to do it the way it does, and it makes the job more playable and more accessible. I feel Dancer has got the lowest skill floor out of every DPS. I think it's even got a lower skill floor than Black Mage.
But saying that, I think that's going to put some of the some people, some of the more like well-known people or people that have been playing off a little bit because they do like the challenge. It's like they were annoyed at, well, not everybody, but some people were quite annoyed at how they've streamlined Astrologian as a healer because obviously now it's just like the cards of everything is I can't even remember the name of it now.
Oh, everything's a balance. Everything's a balance now.
And it's like getting your seals and stuff like that is really easy. And before they had to think on the fly, like, who do I give this to? Oh, I've got this. Do I get rid of it, or do I just put bowl on the?
Yeah, and divination, I think it is the thing that they use every 3 minutes to use up the seals. They are saying that it's too long a cooldown because you can get 3 seals after a minute and a half. At which point, everything just becomes a minor arcana. They'd rather have it where they use divination and then you do still have to minor arcana, but it's one of those things that they wanted off cooldown quicker, which I do understand. I haven't touched Astrologian at all, and I haven't seen many Astrologians running around at the moment. The majority of I'm seeing lots of healers, white mages, scholars, and astros, but I just don't seem to end up in parties with them.
I've seen just an absolute butt ton of white mages, which I'm not really surprised because they are so fun to play at the minute.
Yeah. Zeph, if you can just type in chat, are you double hearing Mr. Marfy's? Just, I've got my Discord open, and when he's speaking, it's showing on my main speakers, but it's also showing a little spike on my mic. I'm just wondering if that's Mr. Marfy playing through my mic, or if it's just me breathing loudly. If you can type in chat, and then Mr. Marfy can relay back to us.
No, he said it's fine.
Right, that's fine. When it comes to dancers, I don't think it's going to stop the raiding community wanting to use it. And the reason for this is that I just think it's going to be much like Ninja. I think unless it gets nerfed into the ground at some point, and I think potency nerfs will be coming. I definitely think that standard step and technical step will have nerfs coming to it. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes down to like 750 and 1000. But then again, they might keep them because the other skills, especially Registry off global cooldowns, Fan Dance and Fan Dance 3, aren't massively damaging. But I still think it's going to be pumping out more DBS than a Machinist and a Bard. Because we can't forget Bard is in this conversation as well. And I think it's going to be one of those stable parts of raiding communities going into the raids coming up in regards to Eden. Higher than Ninja. I think Ninja's still going to be there, because
Oh, God, yeah.
trick
Trick
attack
attack.
is awesome. But I think Ninja and oh, forgot, Ninja and Dancer are going to be two of the DBSs.
I'd say definitely, yeah. You're going to have. It's the utility that comes with Dancer, not to mention the damage and everything. And then, like you say, Ninja's got Trick Attack. So, yeah, they're definitely going to be there.
Yeah.
It's like Astro as well with the cards.
Yeah, like I think Astro, for although the cards have been nerfed, I still think the bonuses that they get are going to be important. If you think if you're in a raid group and you sync up your party opener in the way that a party opener kind of should be, so I'll just Astro, Ninja, Monk, Red Mage, Dancer. Put those 5. Just I wouldn't be surprised if that's how they kind of fit. I think Red Mage might struggle against Summoner and Black Mage, but just on this comp, I'd like to see this comp and see how it goes, because you've got Trick Attack, which is great. You've got the Astro throwing out Ewers and Balancers and Bowls and whatever. Red Mage is using Embolden.
Yeah.
And Monk using Brotherhood. So I am just going to go and quickly Google a couple of things live on air. And the only reason I say this is because you'd have the Dancer use Dance Partner on the Monk. So that gives the Monk access to the bonuses. You would then... You've got to have a 30-second pull, unfortunately. So dancers would use their normal dance.
Yeah.
And then you would Monk and Red Mage. To give the Monk the buff. You'd then pull. Now, a Monk uses where's it gone? Riddle of Earth, Brotherhood. So physical damage is increased by 5%.
Yeah.
So that's going to be massive damage throughout. So Red Mage, Dancer, and Monk will all take effect of that. I don't know if Monks actually get hit by it, but even if they don't, that's still the Dancer and the Red Mage being hit by it. If you delay everything till that when it sets up right, you can set it up. So I'm just trying to find Embolden. So physical damage dealt by party members for 10 seconds. So it doesn't increase your own physical damage, but the kind of way that it would sit in with one another, because I'm pretty sure the Red Mage's weapon skill deals physical damage.
Yeah.
It says deal unaspected, which I think is just another word for...
Doesn't align with a element.
Right. So they all kind of fit in. So Brotherhood is buffing the Red Mage's melee combo. The Red Mage is buffing Monk and Dancer, but Monk's also buffing the Dancer. The Dancer is able to buff the Monk using its cards. The Ninja's buffing because of Trick Attack. The Astrologian's buffing because of its cards. They all kind of really synergize well with one another.
Yes.
Now,
it does sound it.
Now I can pretty much guarantee Red Mage will not be in a comp. People will prefer Black Mage, or they will prefer Summoner.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, in terms of like progression, yeah, you definitely want your Red Mages.
Well, Red Mage is there for raise. Summoner, I think, will be there because of Devotion.
Yes.
It's just a flat increase your damage by 5%. So you're going to have if you have a Monk, you're going to have 2 members being buffed by Brotherhood. If you have a Summoner, you're going to have 4 members, just I think it affects yourself. 4 members of your DPS being hit by a plus 5%. You're going to have Ninja increasing it by 10%. You're going to have your dancer increasing things by 5% as well when you go and use the main finisher, the where's it gone? 70 when you get technical steps, so technical finish, a 5% bonus for 20 seconds on damage. So
Yeah.
all of these things are going to be hitting each other, and it's just going to be boosting everyone's damage to insane amounts.
Things like you get to like a burst phase DPS check or something like that. It's just going to fly through.
Yeah, so people are going to, especially if that is, I've got a feeling that may end up kind of being the comp. When it comes to it, if that is your group's comp, like, we're going to set up our own static and we're going to have our own composition. So the DPSs in that will kind of start learning how their burst phases are going to fall in place. But if this is your burst phase and those are your four people, everyone's gonna hit their buffs at specific points to maximize that. And I think maximizing that burst window with those 4 jobs, along with an Astro who has sleeve drawn cards in order to buff everyone out and then use divination as well, it's just a massive amount of damage coming out in one go. And I think that's definitely going to impact the meta. Dancer was meant to be this job where this expansion, in fact, was meant to be kind of like, we are ending the meta, we are ending other jobs' reliance on other jobs to do things in certain ways. I think Dancer has just thrown that out completely.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically what they should have just said is, we're just removing blunt, piercing, and slashing.
Yeah, turning around saying we're removing over reliance on other jobs. If they were removing over reliance on other jobs, get rid of trick attack.
Yeah, don't worry, Zeph. He doesn't really mean that. It's just what what they were saying.
What?
Zeph's face. It's alright. I'm chatting with Zeph in chat as well.
Right, sorry, I haven't got
about ninja. But you said get rid of trick attack. I was like, no.
Yeah,
Zeph won't like it.
If they wanted to get rid of groups over reliance on synergy, they start right by getting rid of Pierce and debuff on Dragoon, getting rid of that, because then you're not relying on bringing a Dragoon if you bring in a ranged tomb.
Yep.
But get rid of trick attack. Get rid of trick attack. Ninjas no longer have to be in the meta. Or nerf trick attack, so that's 10% every 2 minutes or 5% every minute. Just that falls much more in line with a lot of the other buffs. I think the only reason Ninja stays at where it is because it is reliant on Sweet On in order to use it.
Yeah. 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 No. Like they've said this. They've said like about the synergies and stuff like that. But in like the other hand, they've just added more. In a point like Dancer, you're going to want Dancer definitely. So it's not really comp breaking stuff, meta breaking stuff.
It's not, because people are still going to form a comp, people are still going to form a meta. But something that Yoshi P said in, I think it was the live letter where they showed off all of the job skills, it's like job performance will vary based on player skill.
Yes.
So no matter what, player skill is still going to trump whether or not your job is designed really well, or your job has this, or your job has that.
Yeah, and like what we've got to remember as well is this discussion in particular really does only affect the top 3% savage content, like harder contents and stuff, more than anything, because you can still clear the normal raids of whatever the hell you want.
Oh yeah, you can still go in and clear them with whatever. I mean, in fairness, you could do that in Stormblood. However, the community seemed to develop this meta idea, which is fine, because every community does develop a meta idea. We've played in lots of MMOs where it's a case of flavor of the month, or this is the meta comp, or this and that, and that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's part of the game. It's what, some people really enjoy that aspect. If you don't have to do that.
Yeah. But some people seem to think that, you're playing a machinist isn't good because it's not part of the meta. It's the worst of the worst DPS. It's like, yeah, but I can still clear the content.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point. And this has always been my argument. Is sort of like, it hasn't really happened in this game, but other games, say like when we used to play DC. I've had it before. So, oh, you need to change your class. We don't want you in here because you're an ice powers and stuff like that. It's like, no, I enjoy it. I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the worst thing. I think from a personal standpoint, I'm going to play Dancer throughout the rest of the expansion because I've really, really enjoyed playing it for 2 days. I dumped Machinist. I got Dancer from 64 to 72 inside a couple of days, and it was basically around about 12 hours. Only had to step foot in Heaven on High 11 times, which I didn't think was too bad, in fairness.
To be honest, if you can put up with Eureka amount you did, you can put up with Heaven on High 11 times.
I don't know, because the issue with Eureka was I literally went in, found a fate train, followed it, and sat and watched Netflix, or sat and played Football Manager, and then when the monster spawned, paused Netflix, killed monster, and rinse and repeat. In Heaven on High, you can't watch Netflix. Well, you can, but not where I'm sat, because it's much more difficult.
I tried doing that Netflix one, but I couldn't focus.
No, you struggle to focus on more than one thing at a time, don't you?
I struggle to focus on one thing at a time, let alone multiple.
That really makes me worry, seeing as you're our healer.
But yeah, when I go into healer mode, it's different. Promise. Honest.
So, what are you? So we've talked about the jobs. Is there any jobs in particular that we haven't touched on that you are wanting to try out in Shadowbringers?
Yeah, Scholar.
Any reason?
Because I didn't like Scholar beforehand.
And you think you like it now?
Yeah, actually, because it's not so micro. Well, it is micromanagement, but it's just like the whole pet thing. The whole pet thing is what does me, and now it's easier because you put the pet abilities on your hotbar and stuff.
The common consensus across the community is that Scholar has been hit with the biggest nerf bat swung by the biggest nerf person in the world.
Yeah, but the thing is, I can't really compare it because I hardly.
You didn't
touched
play it. I'll be honest. I haven't played much healer. I've got my Astro and my Scholar to 70. Scholar was kind of more by accident because I got summoned to 70, and Scholar was just a happy coincidence in that if I had to go and do dungeons, I was able to take Scholar.
That's the other thing I want to play as well is my Summoner.
Yeah,
I do want to jump into Summoner. What about you? What?
From my standpoint, I'd like to finish off leveling Machinist, just because for completion's sake. Jobs that I really want to play, I want to play Summoner and I want to play Black Mage.
Yeah, Jazz, one of our SD mates, has been saying that the Black Mage doesn't really feel any different.
No, and based on the job skills that Black Mage has got, I don't think it will feel that much different. No. Literally none of the skills prior to level 70 kind of got touched. The only real level 70 change that was useful, as far as I could tell, or that really would make a difference, would be the changes to freeze. So now freeze, where it is.
Oh yeah.
It's now an AoE, as opposed to just being around you, but that was Blizzard 2, I think, as well. And it now grants Umbral Ice 3 as well as an Umbral Heart.
Yeah, it was kind of just useless beforehand.
Yeah, now I think it's kind of one of those that's much... It's kind of your ice version of an AoE now.
Yeah, which is good. It's good they're making use of, stuff that was pretty pointless beforehand.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the other ones.
I have to say, just quickly, that I jumped on my Red Mage as well to play a couple of bits and pieces since the changes.
Right.
And it does play exactly the same except for your AoEs.
Yeah.
Because obviously, even, there's no scatter. It's... impact now, isn't it?
Yes.
Impact, and you got your thunder and arrow
Yeah, you've got the
AoEs as
Arrow
well.
and the Thunder AoEs now, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, in terms of it, you've got Despair, which is basically a single target flare now.
Yep.
But you can only execute while under the effects of both Enochian and Astral Fire, whereas Flare, you could actually use it while in Umbral Ice.
Oh, okay.
You've got Umbral Soul, which is grants Umbral Ice, and you gain an Umbral Heart.
Yep.
And then you've got Xenoglossy, which is a single target foul.
It's a strange name, isn't it?
So literally, nothing has really changed in terms of
No.
Black Mage, but Black Mage and Summoner. I'm just having a look at the Red Mage now. Yeah, so the Thunder 2, 120 potency, 127 and 7 displacement.
It's a DPS.
Contrae 60 has massively changed.
It has. I just used it. I didn't even bother looking at what it did.
Yeah, Jog 2. Yeah, so Impact is now in AoE. Yeah, so the Thunder and the Flare, the Thunder and the Arrow changing automatically to the Holy, much nicer to see. But yeah, not really that much apart from the Scorch.
Yeah, yeah. Scorch is at the end of your holy or the
Yeah,
flare.
so I don't think the big change was obviously Summoner because of the pet actions, but I think even with kind of sort of like the just the update, like I'm looking through and literally every single skill is updated.
Yeah.
On a Summoner. It's absolutely insane.
Summoner's changed a hell of a lot. But yeah, I'm just interested to jump in it. But to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to touch anything else until I've finished the MSQ.
Yeah, same here. Dancer into the MSQ, then we were talking so like previously, and we're going to start trying to put out some content later on, in terms of you're going to try and do some tanking videos, so like talking tank comparisons, healer comparisons as well. I'm going to focus on the DPS side, so that's where my time's going to be spent. In terms of my overall feelings towards Shadowbringers for this expansion so far, because I'm aware we haven't been on for too long, but I'm also aware that we are very conscious of wanting to get back to the MSQ and try and tie up as much of it as physically possible. So
do you know what? Just quickly, the release for this, for like when we had early access and stuff, my real life could not have gone any worse. So I had all these plans, like right, it's coming out on Friday. I'm gonna get home from work. I'm gonna stick it on before the kids get home from school, and then once they do, I'll do them dinner. I'll sort this out, and then in reality, what it was, and then over the weekend I was going to play. But in reality, I got back. Kids finished this. Oh, I need to go somewhere, Dad. Right, okay. I'll take you there. Yeah. Then you've got to pick me up again. Then the missus says, oh, we've got to do food shopping. And then the next day it's sort of like, oh, we're going out to the zoo for the day. Get back. We're going out for dinner. I was sort of like, I love doing these things. I love the zoo. I love spending time with the kids. I love going out for meals and stuff, but I never wanted just to sit at home on my ass playing the computer so much.
My point in all this is why is your, just obviously your son plays as well, why is he not turning around going, Mom, why don't you and your daughter go to the zoo and me and Dad will sit at home and play Shadowbringers?
But you know what? Have you seen him on Shadowbringers yet?
No.
This is the point. I said to him yesterday, he got back, I said, oh, is you going to play some Shadowbringers? Yeah, might do. And I was sort of like, what are you doing? And yet, the first day he went on it, because he has actually been on it, he was watching the MSQ and we were on mic on the PlayStation together. And he kept, like, because he was ahead of me in the story at the time, and he kept saying stuff and he kept like making noises like, oh my god, oh I love her accent, oh who's this, oh blah. And I was sort of like, could you shut up, because I know you're going to give something away and I don't want to. So maybe I put him off.
Quite possibly. Yeah, in our FC, we've actually, well, I've instated a rule. It's not quite a one that's been approved by everyone, but it's literally we've set up a specific channel. Like all Shadowbringers stuff goes in here, and literally like for the first couple of days, I had my keyboard next to me, and people were like pinging things in the FC chatting game, and I was like, "Go talk about this on our Discord in the dedicated channel."
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a few things that I'm not going to mention names, mainly because I forget everybody's name. But and I was sort of like, quickly press R1 and switch channel until somebody else has said something because I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, they haven't been too bad.
No, it's been fairly quiet on our Discord at times.
Everybody's just been stuck into MSQ.
Yeah, before Shadowbringers, it was non-stop. Since Shadowbringers has dropped, which is when I would expect it to be like, oh, bang, 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 bing, 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 bing. It's been like
dead silence.
Yeah,
radio silence.
It's been like
is both weird and understandable in the same way.
Yeah. So what do you want? So the next show is going to be the 14th or 15th of July. All depends on whether or not we want to get raid in first and then record, or whether or not we want to record then raid. I'm probably just going to say raid then record. In terms of the future, what do you want to get done for the next 2 weeks?
Obviously MSQ finished. White Mage at 80. Bit more experience with the Gunbreaker, because I do want to love it, because it is using like one of my favourite weapons ever. Yeah, just
that's about it.
Get flying in every zone.
Yeah,
because that is so frustrating.
Oh, just right. We haven't talked about this, and this is something that we are amazed and so like.
Oh yeah.
I just have to applaud like Square Enix in what they've done with this system. So the Fate system, the much maligned Fate system, everyone hated it in Realm Reborn. It was great for leveling, but then everyone suddenly went Atmas.
Yep.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Heaven's Ward was kind of similar because part of the Relic Quest was still tied to Fate, so it kind of still was a bit. And in Stormblood, they tried to make some things in Stormblood, didn't really work to Fate. In Shadowbringers, I have never seen Fates be done as much as they are being, and I don't know if it's
talking about it, weren't we? Earlier?
And I don't know if it's just because it's a new expansion and therefore people are doing them, but this whole they've increased the XPs. They've made them much easier, I feel. They spawn much quicker, and this whole do so many, get these gemstones, it feeds into that MMO player mentality, and I can only applaud Square Enix for what they've done with open world Fates.
And the good thing with this is that all they need to do to keep this fresh is add bits and pieces to the rewards for finishing them.
Yeah, or just literally. I don't know how many levels. So you do 6th, and it does and you get rank 1. You then got to do 60 to get so you start at rank 1, do 6, you get to rank 2. At which point you unlock the riding maps for each of the zones, which are 70 gemstones. You unlock them after 6 fates. You get 12 stones per fate, which means you get enough stones to buy the riding map. Makes much easier going around the different areas. To get from rank 2 to 3, you've got to get 60 fates.
Yeah.
And obviously, you don't know. I don't know, or I'm sure people will have.
If it's 10 times, it's like, then will the next one be 600?
You don't know, but if they keep doing this and increasing the amount of ranks you get and increasing the items, it's going to continue to keep players going into those fate areas.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just really nice to see earlier, sort of. And the other good thing is, like you were talking about the XP, because you needed what? You needed to go up.
Level? I needed to get like 2 million XP, and we were thinking, well, not say that name. The level 71 dungeon was probably going to be the quickest way. Just I didn't have any roulettes, and it was like, Tell you what, I'll just do this. I'll just do this fate while you're on a cutscene. Oh, I got over 250,000 XP for that, but I also got the Twist of Fate bonus. So I'll go and do this next fate, and that next fate I got 500,000 XP. And it's like, whoa, I'll go and do this fate and this fate, and eventually we just leveled up after doing like 4 or 5 fates.
It was only about what
15, 20 minutes, yeah.
And then boom, you're there. It's sort of like, okay, that's actually very potent.
Yeah, so the 72 to 73 is about 14 million XP, I want to say.
15.
15?
No, what? 72 to 73?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 70. It was 12 and a half from 70 to 71.
Let's see if Gamer Escapes updated their experience chart.
Yes. Things live on it.
Yeah, so 72 to 73 is 15.5 mil. And you're getting around about 500,000 per... a 250,000 per fate, assuming there's no bonuses attached to that. So, assuming that, so say that's to... It's 60 odd fates, which sounds like a lot. But if you do 60 odd fates, and then you continue to also do your duty roulettes and all things like that,
yeah,
then that's going to continue to increase and help with regards to how much experience you're getting.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I mean, well, I'm level 75 now, and all I've been doing is duty roulettes, the odd fates, MSQ. But yeah, no, that is a good way of leveling.
Oh yeah, it's really helpful to level.
And at the minute, it's just incredibly fun. People are getting together. People are actually shouting for groups in the overworlds and overworld content, and it's just nice to see.
Oh yeah, like it's so much. It's just it feels so much better to do these things. So compared to the other expansions, is this better or the same or worse than the rest so far?
Better, but my reason is slightly selfish, and when I say selfish, it just means it's towards me, is because one, I'd already experienced like some of the other ones twice.
Yeah.
And this is really the first expansion that I've been actively playing as it has launched. Right.
Yeah, just you were around for Shadowbringers, Stormblood, weren't you? But you were still leveling the other expansions at the time.
Yes.
You were still leveling through other things. Yeah, I do think it's much better than Stormblood. There's been no issues with logins. There's been one server queue issue, which was on Saturday afternoon, which really wasn't that bad, apart from the fact that I did the first dungeon with trusts, and
NA got the DDoS attack.
NA got a DDoS attack, yeah. I got a 30-minute queue with trusts, which was the only drawback. But even still, like, no real issues in my opinion.
No, to be honest, it went quite smoothly. I think the biggest thing that was quite annoying at the time was the tank queues.
Yeah, tank queues massively impacted because of Gunbreaker, but they kind of seem to have died down since then.
Yeah, I think people have realised. Unfortunately, I think people have seen. Well, I'm not actually enjoying Gunbreaker so much.
Yeah, I'm not enjoying Gunbreaker, so I'm gonna not. I'm gonna not use it. Yeah, go back to Paladin, start the MSQ, or go to Dancer, or they've just out-leveled the dungeon so far.
Or they've just done what I've done and said, "Yeah, do you know what? Screw this, I'm going main healer."
Get those insta-queues.
Insta-pops, yeah.
So, that's all we're going to discuss this week. Like I say, we'll probably have bigger shows the next couple of weeks where we can go into a lot more detail. So, Mr. Marfy, where can they find you on the social media?
basically, you can find me at the YouTube channel, Good Evening Eorzea, or find me on Twitter at Mr_Marfy.
And you can obviously find me at OistyFFXIV. All of the details are just below me down here on the screen. I'm just trying to move my hands to where they should actually be. Also, we will be on Twitch a lot more. Good Eve Eorzea, because some special person can't spell .com correctly when I try to put it in the Twitch account. So I've had to change the name. We have been on there. Expect more content over the next few days as well. Not as much as what I did over the first few days. I've got my early access impressions video coming out sometime today when I eventually get around to recording the audio over the top of it. But expect periodic releases over the next few weeks as well.
Cool beans.
And I believe Mr. Marfy's going to try and do some videos as well.
Yeah, I've got a few lined up. Just got to write my scripts and record some more footage. I'm going to do some dungeon guides and just guides in general and stuff, but I'm going to leave them for a little while until everyone's had a chance to play them.
Cool beans, sounds good. Well, thank you for listening. We will be putting the show up on YouTube, hopefully with very few technical mishaps, because obviously it is a bit of a nightmare when I've been trying to put some of these together. But with any luck, it'll go up without any issues. So until next time, thank you for watching. Goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from me.
Goodbye now.
Bye.